Hello, Noir Nerders. It is 20 to 12, and this is the second vlog in the Cyberpunk Jam vlog series. So I'm going to just show a time lapse of the last few hours. I basically didn't get much, hardly any sleep last night, trying to get this thing done. And it's almost there. It's like frustratingly, annoyingly close. I've still got a day, so there's a possibility I can get it finished. But basically, the thing that is eluding me is the collisions. I tried various different ways of having the gaze cursor so that when you look at an object, it either disappears or some sort. And I've done various other iterations on the core idea of the game, but it remains at this present point unfinished. I am absolutely shattered. I've just been keeping myself awake by sheer will alone, coffee and smokes, to be honest. So as to whether I'll actually get this game finished, Cosmonaut Trash Man, remains to be seen. I'm going to have to try and get some sleep because I'm absolutely knackered. But yeah, I'll just show the time lapse and I'll narrate. Okay, so at this point I just got back into it, trying to define like the style, I guess, like looking at that interlaced sort of like shimmering effect. I've got rid of that eventually. At this point I'm just going through and what was I doing at this point? I think just trying to tidy up, generally speaking. This is like the start of the epic sort of however many hours it has been. I think about 16 or 18 hours straight, pretty much, trying to get this thing to work. Also go into the Stack Overflows and got stuck. Later on in the video I used ChatGPT a bit more, and also Copilot, so I'm trying to get used to my workflow with that, just have the best way of using it. With good and bad consequences, to be honest. Sometimes it got in the way, I found, of my programming. Sometimes it helped a little bit to guide me on what to do next. But I wouldn't say overall that I'm still that convinced of using ChatGPT for doing coding. I can't really. So there we go. That's looking more like what I want it to look like, right? Obviously, looks quite spread out. But because of the random nature of it being procedurally generated, this does bring a lot of complications in the code base, which I've really been struggling with, like how to scale the buildings. This looks pretty good in a way. In some ways, maybe even better than what it looks like now. But again, it's just a constant back and forth at the minute, and struggling with, like, I think I was singing along to metal at that point, so it looks like I'm talking to myself. I was just probably was mumbling to myself somewhat. As you can see, I'm grumpily smoking cigarettes at some points because I'm just getting frustrated with some aspects of it. It's like going WTF, why, generally speaking. That front page is pretty well done now. I think I was having some issues here with I can't remember what. One of the frustrating things, actually, because I'm running on a HTTP server, a new package, there's no hot reloading, so that's been a real pain in the butt, to be honest, the arse, I should say. So yeah, there's oh yeah, so this is where I managed, one of the first things I did in this latest run of work was getting like the warp effect working. I was glad to get that done. I actually literally started writing it down on a piece of paper. Get this bit done, So I prioritise the importance of each feature, I guess. This is going to be quite a long video, by the way. It's going to be about 20 minutes, so strap in for that if you're ready for it. And then yeah, just doing a lot of getting the cameras correctly positioned, which took a bit of fiddling, but I eventually got there just by a mixture of intuition, like geospatial thinking, and Control Alt I, Get the A-frame inspector up. Get those. I was a bit confused with it. This is what we're doing there. Yeah, press Control Alt and I. You get the A-frame inspector up, so you can position things and sort of see how they look properly, which is essential sometimes for doing A-frame work, so you don't have to do it just in your head, which is quite difficult. And yeah, various just like mulling about. There we go. So it's looking somewhat better at this point. And I'm pretty happy with this now. Actually, the front page. Added a bit of backstory, not much, but that comes a bit later. Doing like general font things. There's been a lot of back and forth with the mechanics as well. So there is now, you'll see a bit later in the video, there's a population property and some other bits and bobs. Just trying to develop that sort of like we make it more realistic, right? Or make it seem more real. Like you're on the clock. You've got to get a certain amount of things done because you're in your job. Yada yada yada. So there's a ton of that's the main JS code, which is just the core game mechanics, core game logic, etc., etc. The code's not perfect, but I've only had a few days to do this. It's been about, how many days have been on this now? 5 days, 6 days, so it's only a week-long jam, I think, so it's quite an intense turnaround. Like I said, I've really been struggling to get this last little bit working, which is a pain in my bum. Hopefully tomorrow I'll get it done and then I'll be able to submit it. I probably will submit the game still, even if it's not fully finished, and then just roll a hotfix afterwards. I think it's still worth releasing still, even if it's just just on the phone there. Even if it's just a few, it's not like the full game, as it were, as I fully envisioned it. But then I didn't really envision it as anything. I was just improvising ideas. At first I was going to do a Mech Warrior game, like I said on the last one. And then I thought, stick to something that I know a bit of, which is doing space exploration. I've tried and failed at that. Just listen to it. That's a really good track, actually. Sediment Brews, Heteroentropy. It's a very, very good song. Just listen to some post-rock, like, basically. That was the hour. Just putting on the rock music. Just, again, modifying that scene a bit. And yeah, what was I doing here? I was again just refining that a bit, like going back, just giving it that extra, like, so it looks just sort of refined, and compositionally it fits all together. So yeah, just carrying on with that, adjusting the positions, do some CSS edits. Just giving it some stylistic flourishes, I guess, in terms of the design. Not exactly sure if it'll be responsive. It's not really designed for mobile, so it's just a core PC game for web to play in the web. And there's no way I'm going to implement mobile controls because I do value my sanity somewhat. Okay, so again, that's mostly doing all that stuff. Tweaking some attributes, taking some stuff out that's not relevant. There's often a way it is with coding. You've just got it's a constant. It's like chipping away at a sculpture, I guess, which is probably an obvious metaphor, but there is something to that. I think it is an art form, doing games. Not everyone considers it an art form, but it is an art form. It's an entertainment media, but it's also a place where you can express ideas or explore ideas, concepts. So yeah, that's why I was using ChatGPT a bit, just to give me a hand with, I think, some of the warp effects. I was trying to see if ChatGPT could rewrite it better, and it actually was just made it more confusing, to be honest. Somewhat. The positioning was like, the thing I was getting mixed up about was the camera was like rotated around on the startup, even though the positioning in theory should have been fine, should be facing. So I had to fix that. That was a bit of an annoying bug to fix. There we go. That's where I got it. So you got that like sort of like retro 80s cyberpunk. You know, the warp drive effect. The warp effects is just a open source component that I found online on GitHub. It's making use of other people's work because that's why they make these tools, so that people can use it. I mean, I made a few myself, like the A-frame random component, and yeah, that's why open source devs do it. There's a trash box just floating around. Probably doing a lot. There's a lot of physics testing to do, obviously, with this, which is still not even fully resolved, to be honest. Sort of smoking again. I'm drinking water. Smoking's not good. I don't recommend you do it. It's a bad habit I need to give up, actually, to be honest. Sky, so just expanding the sky box. I didn't like that interlacing effect. It looks a bit nicer. At first I thought it was cool, like I said, as a stylistic flourish, but after a while I just thought, nah, it just looks a bit amateurish, so I've changed that. I want to change the amount for the trash boxes being generated, so I was modifying some of the conditional value. So just trying to think of what the best calculation would be to do for that, for populating that array. So, still some frame rate and movement issues when you get particularly large maps, which is still ongoing a bit. The actual basic loop works in terms of like teleporting, which we'll be getting onto in a section soon. Yeah, and started coming up with the idea, as I said before, of doing population, so you get like a population density UI readout for each generated city. That's the asynchronous function there, just for the main core game loop with a load of awaits. Yeah, adding the span ID for the population readout on the dashboard. I'm very tired. Physics testing still, game testing. This stage of the actual process is very much extremely repetitive bug testing, bug fixing, debugging, which obviously is an essential part of doing any software development, but it's definitely not the most fun part. It's almost like after you get the initial rush of a new idea and you get those first little bits of features working, you do reach a point where you're just like, I really want this thing to work. Why isn't it working? Like I'm sort of at that point now with the either raycasting or collision destroying boxes or collecting them, because I know I'm missing something really obvious. It'll either be some spaghetti that's in the code that I need to fix and refactor, or just something silly like that. I know it will be. Experiment, adding some textures. I wanted to see about snow. Eventually settled on desert, which is what it is now. I might even return it back to a more technological based texture. I'm not sure, but I might keep it as desert. I don't want to mess around with it too much now, to be honest. I haven't got enough time. I've basically got about half a day tomorrow to finish it off. I need a lot of sleep. This is the next day after I'd gone out the night before. It wasn't too worse for wear though, just a bit tired somewhat. Oh, let's just flash back to the night before, but okay, that's minor edit, minor mistake, but it doesn't matter. There I am, smoking away like a chimney, testing the just getting back into the core game loop. Desert has been set as the texture, and working, yeah, thinking about creating a building component instead of like adding all the attributes. I can't remember if I just carried on with that or just stopped. Can't remember. I was getting a bit knackered at this point, as you can probably tell from my strained expression. I started about midday, I think it was. It's quite a fairly alright day for in terms of the weather today. Yeah, so I did hit upon this idea of making more like sort of I always had this idea of like making it like really like compacted brutalist buildings, but it looks a bit it looks too unnatural. I think it was a step backwards. I've modified that a bit now. There's more of a just a random tangent I went down, I guess. Modifying those values for the size. Key down events, because I wanted to add this. So this is where I was going into. Adding spacebar, pressing spacebar, sorry, will mean that the player teleports to a completely new randomly generated city, so you can do it on the fly. And I completely forgot how to handle keyboard down events. It's been a while since I've done it. It's not that hard, but it's like you just have to look into the documentation. Usually I can't remember it from memory ever. So just quickly look that up, which is a common thing, obviously. Like no one can hold all the, especially with JavaScript. There's quite a lot of weird methods you can utilize, and yeah, you need to sort of like look back at stuff sometimes. Obviously, Mozilla MDN docs is good. Obviously, W3C schools is good most of the time. ChatGPT is good as well for just if you want to get an idea, though. Like I say, you need to. It doesn't really understand bigger picture. Obviously, it's just more like it understands bit. If you give it very precise instructions on what you want, you have to sort of know how it works. Though that's the thing. That's a funny thing actually with this. That's why I don't think it will completely replace programmers. AI, because. Not anytime soon anyway, because you need to sort of understand on an intuitive level how, like in A-frame you've got a component system. You need to sort of understand how that works, the tick functions on the initiate, what that does in a component, what each of those methods do basically to really get the most out of it. And yeah, like so you'll see that I'm giving it fairly specific instructions, because it just takes things very literally. Because literally, because it's just a basic machine, advanced form of machine learning. It is really a bit of a misnomer to call it AI at this point. It is essentially just a large language model with tons of compute. But yeah, nonetheless, it's a good tool. It's worth using sometimes when you get stuck. If you've got a bit of a block on, it can just help push you forward a bit. And like I say, today, doing this part of the video, I got really just like drained. I had a few moments of inspiration, but a lot of it I was just like really having to plow my way through this bit today. And I had some successes. Some parts started to get more refined. Some things I didn't break too bad, but like had some minor bug sets to solve. There are still some remaining little things I need to sort out as well. Most of the UI stuff sorted. Probably going on to that in a bit. There we go. One thing that actually seems to happen is the amount of trash boxes seems to be I don't know, it just seems to vary a lot and seems to massively spike once you get to like the 4th teleportation for some reason. I'm not sure why that happens. When was this? Oh, this might have been earlier today or tonight, I guess. No, it was last night. Sorry, I'm just looking at what clothes I'm wearing. That was last night. That was the clipboard is a bit mixed up, but I guess that's like a later session from early in the morning. I did stay up till about 5 or 6, so that's why it's a bit muddled. And I didn't really sleep. I've not really slept properly, which is not a good idea I don't recommend it, but hey ho. I mean, unfortunately, I do happen to suffer from seasonal insomnia sometimes, so it's just something I have to deal with. Though I've taken my medication tonight, so that should help me sleep. Just get a decent night's kip, recharge my batteries. Hopefully, what I am hoping is that I can wake up tomorrow fully refreshed and just get down to it for 3 hours and be like, yep, finally got it done, got it uploaded. That's the 4th game jam of the month done, or not this month, but like the month in general, which is quite an achievement, and I'll be glad to have made that. It's especially doing game dev, the more you do it, the better you get, the more broader range of skills you get. I'm getting a bit better at 3D now, which is good. Obviously moved back to A-frame, which is probably a step backwards. This would have been much more better suited to Unity, but I just wanted to try it because I thought, why not? And like, I've done some similar bits and bobs before, given the time constraints. Just seemed to make sense to try and make something ambitious within that time frame. I did manage to get a third-person mech warrior model into a Unity scene, third-person character controller, but the scope of it, I immediately realised was going to be too large with all the AI patrols and enemy intelligence and stuff. That's not a simple thing. Like I said in the previous video, my mate Jake is doing some work in this area, doing like programming AI and that. And yeah, it's not easy. It's like it's not a simple thing to do anyway. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just awkwardly sort of like carrying on speaking because I'm probably just watching YouTube and I don't know, listening to music or listening to a podcast or something at this point. So having a bit of a break, which is always necessary. So yeah, this is a bit boring. I'll keep it in though, why not? I'll keep on yabbering on. I can probably make this a bit more like a little podcast, I guess. So, there's a new format for me, tell me if you like it or not. I've done this format a bit ages ago, but just thought I'd return to the longer form, sort of more of an explanation of thought processes type vlog. It's flashing lights, so I'm probably watching a film or something, having a break. Zoning out. Oh, big white screen's on, so probably back in the zone again. Probably just had it on the other display or something, can't remember. Anyway, that's enough of me tweaking about awkwardly in the dark. Okay. So this was... Oh, this is... When was this? I think this was last night as well. So again, this is all a bit muddled, this vlog, but I guess it shows you the sort of like randomness of the creative process it is in development anyway. It's like sometimes it feels like you're redesigning a wheel. You want to avoid doing that as much as you can, which is partially why I use A-frame, as I said, because it's familiarity. I know 90% of it. It's just 10% of the gaps I have to fill in, and then I have to avoid getting too complicated, which has happened a bit. But I added a light as well, so that was quite cool. That's quite a nice feature. So there's basically a light where the pointer cursor is, the gaze cursor. There's a light that lights up the area in front of the player, just where that. So I'd also modified the buildings at this point so that they were a bit more